lessons here on earth and how it affects the trajectory of our manifestation, what is magnetized towards us, and how to kind of create that optimal life experience that you're looking for. So in terms of the quantum field, or how your life plan is calculated, it's really interesting to start to observe it almost from a third-party perspective and really understand that what we are here to do obviously is learn, but in and of that, how each and every decision that you're making in every moment is recalibrating what you're going to experience. So there are infinite timelines in terms of how we would experience a lifetime. That's actually fairly logical when you think about it. If you go to an intersection, do you go left or do you go right? And if you make that right hand turn, what's going to be along your path based on that decision? But in terms of our spiritual evolution and the life plan that we actually kind of drafted before we came here and incarnated on planet Earth, there's a lot to do with specifically the lessons that we wanted to learn before we came here as a soul, and also our thoughts, how things are calibrating. There's always, and again, I want to teach this correctly, there's this almost misconception in the spiritual community that your life plan is like completely set out in front of you and there's not a lot of like divergence, or it's fairly structured, and that's actually fairly incorrect. When we are kind of pre-planning our lifetimes as souls, there's certainly like key lessons that we want to learn in a lifetime. So they're kind of like the big trophies that we're kind of incarnating to make sure that we achieve. Now, there's also the potential for exponential growth in terms of a soul's evolution or ascension that can go beyond the life lessons that are kind of pre-planned. So if due to everything one is experiencing in a lifetime, if you are accumulating a lot of spiritual wisdom, that is just catalyzing within your soul from really choosing the higher path over and over and over, there can be sort of this rapid expansion that happens in a lifetime that is even unexpected to the soul itself and your spirit guides and those that are helping you plan. And that is, one of the great mysteries of the universe. That's why, it is so exciting to be a being, to exist, to have this opportunity to learn. But of course, there's some mystery in it. And that's what makes the whole process of beingness so dynamic and exciting. So when we talk about timelines, timeline shifting, or if you've gotten into this idea of manifestation, the law of attraction, creating your most incredible life experience, you're going to run into the dialogue about timelines or moving timelines. Now, that's kind of what I wanted to get into in this video today. A timeline is kind of like a script. So when you hit certain benchmarks, it's almost like you level up. Like imagine you're playing a video game and you have successfully completed, all of the things in that level. Once you've hit those things, you bump up to the next level and it's a whole different experience. So when you have graduated essentially from the previous level in your life plan and you kind of jump up a level, you're actually going to experience life on a whole new vibrational plane. It will actually physically feel different to you. And, a lot of times this is during, crazy periods of transition. So when you're in crazy periods of transition, that's also the process of jumping timelines or moving up or also moving down, because this can work both ways. If you are really following the highest path that's available to you, you're going to keep going, up and up and up a level. And you're continually challenged to make the most graceful, righteous, pure, innocent decisions that help others, help yourself, but help essentially build a better world. I mean, that's always a way that you can benchmark if the things that you are doing are associated with the highest timeline. It's going to have an effect, whatever it is that you're doing, saying, being in the moment. It's going to have the highest vibrational effect for all of those around you. So what do I mean by this? So if you are speaking of others and what you are speaking lifts others up, helps to raise up the opinion of those that are listening of whatever you're speaking of. So basically raising the vibration of any of the elements of the dialogue to a higher level, and also helping those that are interaction with you see a higher perspective. That is what lifts you to that higher timeline. And then also in terms of your actions. So if you are compulsively shopping, racking up your credit cards, doing things like that, I don't know, whatever kind of negative things that you could be doing with your time, instead of reading a book or teaching or going and volunteering for the Boys and Girls Club, something like that, both of those actions calibrate very differently in terms of the quantum field. So when we think about our timelines and what's going to out-manifest for us in terms of our three-dimensional reality, it's really going to be closely related, it is 100% related to, again, how we're spending our time, how we are affecting others in our 3D, already manifest reality, and again, what is our vibrational output? So what are we bringing to each and every day that helps the world at large, helps humanity, helps the natural world, our biosphere, like all of these different things all go into calibrating your specific timeline experience. And as I was saying a couple minutes earlier, in terms of your life plan, although it is, there are chart points. So there are like exit points, meaning as a soul, there are opportunities that if the lifetime is too overwhelming for you, written into your life plan or path, there are exit points that a soul along with a soul's sort of soul family or angels, angel guides, all of those spirits that are working, not in the manifest plane, will have pre-organized as times where you can kind of exit. Now, I don't want to suggest that you should be looking for those timelines. I'm just saying that in terms of a life path, you always have some sort of exit points. You also have points within that lifetime where you're really supposed to make a choice or move through something that was stuck or stagnant in your own energy field in terms of your soul's calibration. Now, of course, energy is all pervasive. So if you have a sort of stagnancy in your energy field, in your soul's vibration, of course, it will to some degree out manifest in your body. Okay. So you may have some experience in the three-dimensional body of this stuck energy or of pain, actual physical pain or emotional pain. But again, it's still going to be coming from the emanation of that core frequency of your soul. And again, our goal is ascension. Our goal is purification. And that ascension process is quite literally the lifting up of the vibratory field. Now, again, when religious texts speak about this, the resurrection or the ascension or, the movement upward toward a heavenly plane, we perceive it, or I think it has been taught through certain doctrines, that this is an actual like lifting up of a body, or I don't know. When I was younger, Bible studies or things like that in the church, it wasn't explained very well to me. And even sitting in church and trying to listen to the message, I was highly confused by it. I kind of was taught this ideology of like humans kind of lifting up and levitating off the earth or something at the end of days. I don't know. It still, to me, didn't make a lot of sense. So in terms of the way that other humans were teaching it based on, a holy book that is very much written in metaphorical stories. So I think sometimes those things can be not necessarily understood the way that they were meant to be perceived. And so the way that I've experienced it in terms of my own actual physical experience is a raising up of the actual vibratory field of your being. Now, of course, because everything is energy, when you are acclimating or resurrecting your soul's vibration to a higher timeline or within a higher plane, you actually are going to physically feel your cells vibrate. So you will feel a very high energy output from all of your cellular tissue. Your heart, it will become increasingly magnetic. You may feel some of this through kind of like heart palpitations or excitement. That's the other way that it can manifest, is that you feel almost a little bit jittery, but very excited, kind of anticipating, but this burst of energy that allows you to really create, really be magnetic, love interacting. You're just not at a low vibrational state. So again, this is that raising you within a lifetime to that higher timeline as well. This correlates a lot with opening the heart center, opening, of course, that heart chakra, allowing it to activate, really starting to speak your truth. I mean, there's definitely periods within my lifetime, but probably with anybody's, where you were speaking somewhat, your truth, your core message, or the things that you believe very deeply within yourself, but maybe you were a little bit nervous or scared, or thought about repercussions. Now, the closer you move to a 0 point energy where there's just no fear, and you authentically be everything that you actually believe from your core, you'll find this opening up. Again, that's going to be the throat chakra, because you are speaking your truth. But it is, again, going to usher in a lot of very dynamic changes in your life. And it will often, again, if you're doing everything really synchronizing with that love light energy, the timeline that you experience will be a higher manifestation of really, more than you could have even imagined. And then if we want to talk a little bit about the descent, so if we think of heaven as a metaphorical state and hell as a metaphorical state, vibrational manifestations of an existence correlating to where any given mind, body, spirit complex, or the mind center where it's calibrating, will be on that spectrum of how the world appears. So how that projection of what we are, or the frequency that our soul, which is always learning, is emitting, you're really going to be either moving up that scale towards a kingdom, or a heaven, a nirvana, or you're going to be descending down that scale to an existence that feels very dark and hell-like, okay? And I myself have experienced quite a lot of, differentiation in the spectrum. And I'm going to go into that, in the next portion of that, to really explain how that would look in the three-dimensional world. So if we can think of the things that we experience in modern life here on planet Earth, if we think of, hell, or that descent in our vibrational status to a very low calibrating field frequency. Now, in my past, I've experienced this through the mechanism of learning and observing others. It's not really something that I've partaken in a big way, but a lot of heavy drug use, a lot of confusion with how the interplay of bodies in terms of what happens when individuals are engaging with substance abuse, alcohol abuse. Usually what goes along with that is a lack of responsibility for life itself. So other life forms, not being capable of caring for whether it is families or whether it is, who is in your midst, not having that caring aspect for those around you. That can be a very low calibrating vibration. And when a mind is trapped in addiction or is trapped in that cycle of addiction, what happens as well is that there'll be a lack of organization that out-manifests, because again, that reliance solely to that addiction prevents that individual from cleaning up after themselves, from taking care of their basic needs, from keeping a home beautiful and free of negative influences. Usually a lot of chaos, so very chaotic entities attract more chaos around them. So what I've experienced with relationships and drug related things, and again, I want to be really clear, it wasn't my own drug use, it was just being in close proximity to a spouse that was engaging in these things, made me realize just how much darkness comes along with really synthetically playing with the brain, okay? What should be going into a body is what comes from the sun, that energy from the sun. Plants photosynthesize, it traps that beautiful, light energy again. The spectrum of the light energy in its multitude of colors, it's going to out-manifest in terms of the fruits and vegetables that you see. There's so many different colors that each one of those vibrations of light energy will manifest as different colors in the fruit and vegetables, which I just said. Those are the things that are supposed to be going into your body. If you want to be as highly magnetized and calibrated to that highest form of beingness, it's going to be mostly a vegetarian diet. Because again, remember what I was saying earlier about how we affect the field in terms of our timeline. If we are eating something that is not essentially taking another's life force and ending it, that is going to be the highest calibration of your existence, okay? Even if you're picking a fruit off a tree and eating it, that tree is meant to bear fruit. So it is meant to give a food source to you, and it continues to live, and that is part of its purpose. Now, when we look at animal foods, the animal isn't enjoying the death process, okay? It's not a fun thing for the animal to go through. And it does have a negative ripple effect when you take a life in that way in the quantum field. Now, not everybody is going to agree with me on this at this point in their consciousness. I understand that, okay? So take what you want from the video, and the things that don't calibrate or don't acclimate into your current level of consciousness, that's fine. But go walk into a slaughterhouse and let me know how you feel about that. If you feel like that's light and love energy, I would highly doubt it.